This is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane Spawn High School Spawn. This is a Platinum Chase variant. It was found at Walmart. To my knowledge, it's the only place having this figure so far. I guess this is how Spawn was in 1977, when Todd McFarlane was in high school. This is how he originally drew him, and he went through quite a few changes, as you can see. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, 30 years of McFarlane Toys. McFarlane Toys, Spawn, and this is a McFarlane Platinum Edition. Here he is in the package. We have a collector's card, display stand, some energy effects, and 4 hands. On the back, you can see Spawn, original drawing from 1977. This is the concept Spawn, but originally he was drawn in blue. There's a little description here. If you want to read that, pause now. And at the bottom, there's the barcode, if that helps. So with no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all the accessories laid out. We have a collector's card, display stand, 2 alternate hands, totaling 4 interchangeable hands, and then 2 energy effects. Before we load all that, let's talk about and check out the figure. So this is Spawn, nicknamed High School Spawn. This is a Platinum Chase variant of the Proto Spawn. Now the Proto Spawn was a Spawn and Todd McFarlane 2-pack. It basically is the way the Spawn looked when he first designed him before the actual comic came out, and he was changed significantly then. This is sort of a blue repainted version of that, and the whole point is, this is kind of how Todd McFarlane thought of Spawn when he was a kid, or possibly in high school. He was more of a sci-fi character back then, and he's gone through a lot of changes over the years. It's a cool idea to make the Proto Spawn, and it's a cool idea to make Todd McFarlane's own sort of platinum version of how he was in his mind as he was much younger. So let's take a look. I'll start with his head. Kind of gives me some Spider-Man vibes, at least a little bit. Big red eyes. He's got the big, giant, exaggerated collar. The body here, I believe, is based off the multiverse Martian Manhunter, but we'll check that out in depth in a little bit. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. Cape looks pretty good. He has some texturing on the body there. It's subtle, but there. Big giant clamps on the cape, and as a whole, he looks pretty cool. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Definitely get Spider-Man vibes on this guy because the head is smooth, the giant eyes, etc. But it does look pretty cool. Sort of pre-Spawn Spawn. And then here's the figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, starting off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand, typical McFarlane display stand we've seen countless times before. It's a black circle, and it says Spawn at the bottom. Then we have his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Proto Spawn here, and then the even more Proto Spawn over there. On the back, there is a brief description. If you want to read that, pause now. Now let's look at his hands. He has a total of 4 of them, 2 right hands and 2 left hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his gripping hands. And here's his alternate pair of hands. His left hand is a fist, and his right hand has that weird sort of pointing with the index and pinky fingers. And for his energy effects, there are 2 of them. They have unique molds. They're cast in a semi-transparent plastic. It looks like energy or flames. There's an area you can hold it into his hand, and then it looks like it's just sort of coming out of his hand. Like I said, they're a little bit different in the sculpt, and I wouldn't have even mind if they were exactly the same, but I appreciate the differences. Here's Spawn, utilize those energy effects. They fit into his hand nicely, and kind of wrap around, look like just sort of coming out. You can have him sort of shooting out the energy, or using it like a blade. Now to check out the differences between this pre-Proto Spawn and the Proto Spawn. I guess more so High School Spawn and Proto Spawn. It's 100% the same figure, same sculpt, same articulation, so let's take a look. Start with their head. Same sculpt, but a totally different paint job, especially on the eyes. The collar is exactly the same, but of course, it's blue, light blue on the outside, dark blue on the inside, whereas his is red and darker red on the inside. The black parts are pretty much the same. Has the same sort of outlined Spawn sort of area on the chest. Diaper's the same. I mean, everything's the same in these guys, to the skull and the boots, capes, but they look vastly different with his color schemes. And now to check out the differences between High School Spawn and Martian Manhunter. It's not too often that McFarlane will use parts from one line in another line, for example, the Spawn and DC Multiverse, but it happens on occasion, and this is one of those occasions, so let's take a look. Obviously, the heads are totally different. The capes are totally different. As we go further down, the base body is exactly the same. Same torso, same stomach, same arms all the way to the bottom. This stuff is simply just painted on, nothing sculpted. The diaper looks different, and everything is the same, at least the legs. Looks like the boots are a little bit different. You can see the point goes quite a bit further down, but a lot of reuse between the two. And if I didn't look really hard, it's not like it's very noticeable. And that now gives us a total of 7 figures utilizing this Martian Manhunter base body. 3 Martian Manhunter, 2 Spawn, and 2 Spectre. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure and his accessories, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing right at 7 inches tall, which can translate to just under 18 centimeters. And for his articulation, starting with his head, of course, it can rotate from side to side. You can look up and down about that far. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes out about 90 degrees. Up, down, around. He's got this butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest, increase the range of motion, and covering the large gap that would be there. Bicep cut. Double jointed elbows. His wrist can rotate, and it's hinged. Torso at his ball joint. Rotate around, forward and back. Another ball joint at his waist. Rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, pretty good range of motion. You get more out of the waist than the torso on this guy. Legs completely to splits, McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation's pretty good. Legs go forward quite a bit, back not much. Double jointed knees, and his ankle. Forward and back, rotate, tilt, rock, and of course, toe articulation. Here's the story of Todd McFarlane, from rags to riches. But all joking aside, you should check out his documentary. It's on YouTube. It's actually very interesting how he started off by sending his drawings to comic companies every single day, and it took him at least a year before they actually responded to him. Then he came in, blew up the comic industry, separated, made his own brand of comics, made his own toys, shook the market that way, and then went so far as to actually go bankrupt, pretty much lost everything, and then rose back up, and now he's at the top again. Here's a look at Todd McFarlane drawing his character. He's making Spawn, and you can see Spawn in his head, pointing and guiding him along the way. And then nowadays, here's Todd McFarlane in his office, McFarlane Toys. Notice he's barefoot. Here's a look at Todd McFarlane in front of a huge crowd of people, speaking publicly at San Diego. And then here's a look at Todd McFarlane presenting both his high school and Proto Spawn designs. Now let's check them out. Next to some other action figures, starting off with some other Spawn figures. Here's this high school Spawn, next to the original red Proto Spawn. That came in a 2-pack with Todd McFarlane. Really cool and unique figure set. And now let's check them out. Next to some of my other favorite Spawn figures. Here he is, next to the Kickstarter Spawn. And here he is, next to the Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn. This is a fantastic release that kickstarted the modern Spawn figures. And here he is, next to the Mortal Kombat 11 Shadow of Spawn, another great release. Then, next to the Throne Spawn. This is a fantastic Spawn release, except he only has part of a cape, but he does come with a badass throne as well. And now, with the Batman vs. Spawn 2-pack Spawn, this is another fantastic release. I love his cape, even though it restricts some of his articulation. Here are the 2 most recent Spawn figures they've made. These are both from Call of Duty. We have the regular Spawn skin and the tactical Spawn skin. Here are all the different Platinum chases in the Spawn line. We have Redeemer from, I believe, the second wave, High School Spawn, which is single release, and Disruptor, which was from the final wave. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise. In case you don't know what lines you can mix him with, since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys. all 7-inch scale. And now, with some Jack-specific resin figures and some Diamond Select toys, here's Spawn next to one of my wife's many Starbucks cups. And here he is with some DC Direct and NECA figures. Then, with both some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures. And now, with some Mezco and Mattel DC figures. Next, with some Mafex and Hasbro Marvel Legends. And finally, with some SH Figure Arts and Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, it's a cool Spawn figure. It's, I think, more of a cool idea of a Spawn figure than the actual Spawn figure himself. The blue is visually interesting, but just doesn't scream Spawn. I prefer the red version, and honestly, I prefer a more modern Spawn to either one of these guys, but it's kind of cool to see what McFarlane had in mind when he was first envisioning or creating Spawn. It is a lot more the same. I do not mind at all the reuse between Martian Manhunter. You really can't even tell unless you know what you're looking for. His accessories, the energy effects, nothing really special, but they do a good job, and they're pretty cool. If I were to rate this guy, probably give him a 6 out of 10. Not a bad figure. It's a cool idea for a variant, but doesn't make for that good of a Spawn figure. Still, happy to have him. Happy to have my Spawn Platinum collection complete, and my Spawn collection complete. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.